What's up, everyone? Tim Stoddard here, and in today's video, I am going to tell you what my life has been like since I sold my marketing agency. Let's dive in. Yes, you heard that right. I am no longer the CEO or even an equity partner in Stodzy Internet Marketing, the company that was named after me. I'm not involved in anymore. And today I'm just gonna sit behind the mic and talk about it a little bit. I've had a lot of people reach out to me telling me congratulations and asking what it's like. I actually posted an issue on my daily newsletter, and you can see it right here if you want to check this out, timstodds.com. The most important article I've ever written. I've talked about what it was like to sell the actual company. I talked about what it's been like post sale and the weeks and months leading up to it. And you know what? Let's get into it. What's it been like? It's been really freaking weird. it's a it's a strange experience. I remember watching an episode of Shark Tank once, and Mark Cuban was talking about how he sold his company for like $80 billion or some shit like that, and he was sad the day after. And somehow I knew that I would feel that emotion one day. I knew that when I got to a big exit, I would know exactly what he was talking about, and he was right. I think the difference is I was a little bit checked out of the company for a couple weeks and months leading up to it. It was stressful. I'm not going to get into some of the details about what the day to day was, but I had a couple of experiences where it was obvious to me that I wasn't giving like my best self. I wasn't really sharing my gifts with the world in the best possible way. And I knew that the time had come for me to really break apart from my team. And that was very, very emotional. It still is emotional. I worked with those guys for 15 years, and to know that that's not going to be the case anymore is definitely a weird emotional feeling. And at the same time, I'm fully certain that I'm doing the right thing. So I gotta admit, I've been sort of just letting life come to me a little. Thank God it was playoff football, and thank fucking God the Eagles are Super Bowl champs, and thank God we dominated those cheating ass Chiefs, and that provided like a real distraction for me. Even before the playoffs started, for the last like 5 games, it seemed like as soon as the Eagles game would be over on Sunday, I would just be waiting and counting down the days for the next game because I was just like looking for the next distraction. And it's kind of weird to say that out loud, but as I've thought about it, I realized that that was the case. And then after they won the Super Bowl, I took my son back to Philly and we went to the parade, obviously. So I've been to both the parades in the last 8 years, but this one was special because I got a picture of me and my son and my dad, and that's like a really special memory. But the parade was over and I got back to Denver, and the last 2 days, it's really, really, really started to sink in. I really have to start taking my life seriously again. So what was it like? It was awful, really. Like the process of selling was not fun at all. The negotiating, the balance between trying to be a good dance partner on the other side of the negotiating table while simultaneously sticking up for myself. I wish I stuck to my guns a little bit harder, although I've heard from many people that once you get to that point, it's almost like both parties are just kind of over it, and they both kind of agree to things, and it never feels like I got out what I really wanted to, especially considering how much work I put into that company over the last 15 years. It also feels like there's much bigger and better things for me on the horizon. I mean, Stodzy was by all means a very, very successful company, and I'm very fortunate. It created a lot of wealth for me, and I live like a very prosperous life in large part because of the work that I did at Stodzy. But at the same time, over the last year, I really, really knew like there's something bigger for me, and there's another path that I'm being called to, which, frankly, I don't see the path perfectly right now. And that's like a little bit of an adjustment for me because I've always been very laser focused on what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it and what I want out of the work that I'm doing. And I don't really have that right now. Like I don't have a whole lot of clarity, but it's coming. It's definitely getting more and more focused as the days go on. And I'm very confident I know what I'm doing next. I'm not so confident in like what that's gonna be. And I know that like doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I know what I'm working on. I know what I'm gonna be building. I'm just not quite sure like what it is that it's gonna turn out to be. And it's a hard narrative to sort of explain to people who haven't ventured out in a creative process where like you just kind of start doing things and you have an idea of what it is that you're going to do, but at the same time you know that a lot of the process just sort of has to unfold in the manner in which it's supposed to unfold, and you can only discover that by doing the work. So I'm at that like real beginning stages iteration process of the shop.ai, and that's exciting, but also scary. It feels good to have the financial security, but at the same time, I've had financial security for a while. Like I don't feel any different. I don't feel any wealthier. In a lot of ways, I feel even more scared because I know that I'm starting from the beginning again. So it's like a fucked up thing where I got to the end point that I had been working towards and I thought it was going to make me feel a certain way, and it hasn't. And I'm not under the illusion that it was going to make me feel good. Like I was pretty aware of the fact that it's the same feeling you get when you drive the car out of the parking lot. It feels really, really cool for like 5 seconds and then it's just regular life again. Like I really expected that, but I didn't expect there to be such a sadness. I shouldn't say sadness, a feeling of melancholy, just a feeling of like, well, is this it? Is this life? So I'm very, very excited to turn some of that like nervous restlessness back into creativity and progress and building something new. Where else does that leave me? Well, let me break it down a little bit as to what my priorities now, what I'm going to be focusing on. I'm absolutely going to be focusing on building up my portfolio. I've made a couple of really, really good investments over the last 5 years, and I'm going to sit back and let the money pile up a little bit. Anytime I've had any semblance of real liquidity, I've always just invested it. I remember hearing, I think it was Grant Cardone actually, who said, stay broke. It's like the best thing you can do. As soon as you have some money, put it into something, stay broke, and continue building while keeping your cash pile pretty low. And I've done that. But with what I'm building, I want to have a little bit of a cash pile. So I'm really, really focused on my portfolio and like continuing to double down on that. I'm also um I'm also very focused on continuing to have some client service business because everybody who reads my newsletter knows my story, knows that I just really believe in doing client services work. It's not sexy, it's not the coolest thing to talk about on podcasts, but it generates cash. And that cash is always giving me the freedom to make moves and work on other stuff in the way that I want to. So, as of right now, the shop AI is basically just a small agency. It's me and my personal team. And I'm at like 60 grand a month right now, and that's great. I feel pretty good about it. But there's much bigger things happening for the shop AI. And that's really like where my focus is going to be, but I have to be patient. I have to really let it unfold, and I can't force it and I can't rush it. It's got to come in the manner in which it's going to. And then lastly is my personal brand. Like I'm so all in on creating media and creating content to spread my ideas. My daily newsletter has been doing great. I'm bringing the podcast back up again, the Tim Stodds podcast. I'm really pumped about that. I already got 2 months worth of super high profile guests coming on. I'm hoping to expand the podcast into like 2 shows a week. Maybe one is going to be a solo show in which, or maybe me and like a co-host, and then another one will be a weekly guest show. I really like Scott Galloway's model. I think like he's really nailing the podcast and the media platform, like personal platform. So I'm basically going to copy exactly what he's doing and make it my own. And that's it, man. Like continuing to double down on building my portfolio, stacking up assets, stacking up ownership, stacking up some cash right now, which is going to be new for me. Like I'm kind of looking forward to just saving all of my money again. I'm going to be really, really focusing on my customers and focusing on my customer service and staying in the weeds. You know, I'm so far removed from that, from the nitty gritty, and I'm trying to stay humble and stay sharp. And then also building my personal media company. I have the whole thing mapped out, and maybe in the next video, I'll explain to you exactly what this is going to look like from a structural standpoint, how it's all going to work, how the media, the services, the products, and the portfolio is all going to work together in harmony to build like my personal enterprise. And I'm pretty pumped about that. But you know, to wrap this video up, it is a really fucking weird feeling. I feel real weird, sort of like I'm finding my way. You know, like I'm recording this video. I'm on the tail end of it. You know, but the last 2 months has been very much like a leaf in the wind, just trying to figure out where I'm going and not really getting it. But I'm going one step at a time, and it's new and it's uncomfortable, but it's exciting. These last couple months have been a real closing of a chapter for me, and it's been painful, but it's the opening of a new book. It's an entire new journey, and I'm thrilled to see where it takes me. I'm very excited, but I'm nervous and I feel like a beginner again, which is a thrill within itself. Thank you for watching this video. Please leave a comment. Please give me some good vibes. Please smash that subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Peace.